Hi, welcome back. In this video, we're continuing to look at inverse relations. An inverse relation is the set of ordered pairs obtained by exchanging the coordinates of each of the ordered pairs. In this case, the example we're going to look at is what if we have a rule for the function f of x or g of x and we want to find its inverse. We're still going to be using this same exact situation, the same rule, the same follow. We're just going to use this four-step process to do this. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to replace f of x with y. So in this case, f of x equals 2x minus 5. I'm going to replace f of x with y. So that becomes y is equal to 2x minus 5. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to switch x and y. So everywhere I see y, I'm going to replace it with an x. And everywhere I see x, I'm going to replace it with a y. This may mean if you have more than one x in your equation, you may need to end up with more than one y in your equation. Now I'm going to finish solving this for y. So I'm going to solve this for y. So I'm going to add 5 to both sides. X plus 5 is equal to 2y. I'm now going to divide both sides by 2. So I get x plus 5 over 2 is equal to y. I'm going to flip what's on each side just to make things easier for me when I replace y with f inverse. So now that I've got y by itself, f inverse of x is equal to x plus 5 over 2. So now I have found the inverse. Looking at this problem, I have g of x is equal to x squared plus 1. So replace g of x with y. Y is equal to x squared plus 1. Replace all the y's with x's and all the x's with y's. Solve for y. To undo a squared, I'm going to take the square root of both sides. Remember, when I take the square root of both sides, I need a plus or minus. Now that I've finished solving for y, I'm going to replace this with the inverse notation. I need to remember that my original function was g, so this should be written as g inverse of x. I don't want to get confused and write f inverse because my original function was g. So if my original function was k, this would be k inverse of plus or minus the square root of x minus 1. And I want you to note that this is not a function. This plus or minus here means that for each x value, we have two y values. This is something we want to keep in mind as we're going to start looking at and graphing square root functions in the coming lessons. So we want to make sure that we keep that in mind. What ends up happening is we often will simplify this down to just be the positive piece so that we have a function. But technically, this should be plus or minus for it to be the true inverse.